Hey everyone, welcome back to Pets 101. I'm your host Nick, and you might notice something a little off, and that is because I am having technical difficulties. This will be my seventh, eighth, I've lost count, time of trying to record this video. I've given up, I'm using my camera. I just wanted to give you a quick update that I am, working on the channel, and so I still want to, make sure that I'm putting out content, and I figured I'd just do a real quick video about cat facts. And the reason why is because I have been, obviously focusing a lot on dogs because I am a dog person. I learned a lot about dogs, and cats haven't gotten much love on this channel, so why not tell you a couple of cool cat facts that I've learned over the course of my life that if you don't own a cat, you probably never heard, and if you do, you might be surprised. So let's just get right into it. Best place to start is, of course, the cat origin story. Every good superhero needs a good origin story. Cats are no different. And I just thought it was very interesting that they, as far as I know, are probably one of the only pets that have domesticated themselves instead of us forcing it upon them. Historically, humans have seen a animal that can provide a service and or product for them and have either fenced or caged said animal to either work for them, produce, eggs, milk, a byproduct of them, or just in order to, you know, raise them and, use them for their meat. So cats, on the other hand, never had that happen. I'm not sure if we did used to hunt them at one point or not, but at one point we did start to harvest grain, keep them in bags, and then the rodents, mice mostly, would get into the bags and ruin the grain, eat the grain, poop in the grain, all that good stuff. So it was obviously a great hunting ground for cats. So they would obviously take off as soon as a human would show up, but humans, I guess, got pretty smart and realized pretty quickly, oh my god, they're only eating the pests, not the grain, because they're carnivores. So if we leave them alone, they're much better hunters than we are with the mice. We can never seem to find the darn things. Even modern day humans have trouble with that. And they didn't have all those fancy traps and stuff. So they left the cats alone to help them out. It was kind of a nice symbiotic relationship. So the bolder a cat would get, the more it got to eat. So while the other fearful ones ran off, the cat's like, well, this is like the 80th time I've seen him, and he has not tried to chase me off yet. So maybe the mouse is right there. And so the braver they got near the humans, the more bold they got. Cats are curious by nature, so they probably, if the door got left open, they would kind of come around and say, "Hey, what's going on inside the house? You have any mice in here I could catch?" And once they probably saw that blazing fire on a super cold winter night, they realized, "Oh my goodness, hey, if you're not going to eat me, and is it cool if I just hang out at the fire overnight and I'll get out of your hair in the morning?" And that's kind of how the whole thing started. And then once cats realized that, then that's when they slowly started to take us over. I kid, but I don't. I mean, they really, much like many animals, have learned how to kind of manipulate humans to do their bidding. For instance, the mew. Mew. That is something that they don't do to each other, just to us. It's they'll talk to each other, but it's two tomcats. It's like wails and howls and all that stuff. But the actual little mew that they do to us is something that they do exclusively for us because they learned that if they talk to us in a non-threatening way, they actually can get our attention and have more desired results. Like, hey, especially these days, it's like, hey, you forgot to feed me. I didn't forget to feed you. I'm not waking up yet, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning. But you get the idea. So the mew is designed specifically for us. And while we're on the subject of cat noises, this one's a little longer, and spoilers, it does get a bit graphic, but it has a happy ending. I trust. I promise you. So the purr. Growing up my entire life, I knew that cats purred when they feel content and happy, and never knew that cats also purr at times of great distress. In a way, it's almost kind of like a little bit of an uncontrollable thing for them. It's almost like the excitement tightens up their throat and creates that. So they don't just purr when they're super 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 happy. They also do it when they are really stressed out. And the reason why I bring that up is because there is a story, like I said, a bit graphic, that I read, oh God, like a decade ago, probably in a Reader's Digest. But it was a vet that somebody had brought a cat that had been run over by a car. Again, sorry, but it does end well. And the poor thing had on the insides on the outside, as it were, and caked in mud, and it was just obviously not going to make it. So the poor vet, was like, okay, we got to put this thing down. So just out of sympathy, went to go pet the head, and the cat purred. That blew the vet away. They were like, if you can purr at a time like this, I mean, I gotta try to save you. I mean, at least put in the effort. You're clearly gonna go anyway. So the vet, very carefully, like washed, all the intestines and stuff. Put them back where they belong, stitched it up as best as they could. I think did like a liquid diet for a spell. Cat amazingly made 100% full recovery, and I believe, don't quote me, but that the vet actually adopted said cat. And so it ended up happy, everybody was fine, but it all started predicated on a misunderstanding where the vet thought the cat was purring because of the head scratch. And now, years later, now that I know that purring is also signs of great distress, the poor cat probably thought, oh my god, not only am I hit by a car, but now here's a predator coming to finish off the job. And that was just really fascinating because I get to kind of look at the story twice. When I first read it, I was like, oh my god, that's so cool, the vet saved the cat. And then years later, I was like, oh my god, that's so crazy that the cat probably was purring for the exact opposite reason that the vet thought, but it still worked. So I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Meet the Parents, but in it, Robert De Niro's character has trained the cat to use the toilet, and at the time of seeing the movie, I thought that was just for comedic effect, in order to show the character that Robert De Niro was. But turns out you can actually train a cat to use the toilet. Easiest way to do it, in fact, is with a product called the Litter Quitter, which I have mentioned in a previous episode. But what it is just basically a litter tray that has removable concentric circles. And so you start off with the tray on the toilet. Once the cat gets used to that, you take the center one out. Now it's a smaller surface area to pee and poop on. And you just basically keep taking out ring after ring until there's really such a small surface area of actual litter, most of it's going in the toilet, and then eventually all of it's going in the toilet. And then you take the rings away, cat's now pooping on the toilet. This is because, if you probably weren't already aware, cats cover up their pee and poo with most typically dirt, and that's in order to negate the smell. Now, I can't remember if it's to ward, keep predators away or prey, keep from scaring prey away, or even both. But it is to keep the smell down from their own, pee and poop. And much the same reason why we go in the water in the toilet. Water is even better at masking the smells than the litter is. So most cats, once they get the idea, they're on board with it. They love it. And the most that you have to worry about is if, your cycles are synced up and you both need to use it at the same time, or just coming to the toilet and discovering, a little, nugget in there. But I think that the amount that you save on litter alone, so that's just definitely a tip. If you ever watched that movie thinking that was just 100% fiction, that's a very real thing. And apparently quite a few cats do take to it. Not every cat is trainable in every single, task, but that is one that is a very real thing. I would be remiss to not mention, if I wasn't doing a cat video, declawing. When I first heard about declawing, I pictured, like many of you probably did, that, you just take out the thing that makes the nail grow, so at most you're snipping off like maybe that much. And unfortunately, that is not the case in a cat. It's the equivalent of taking off the first two knuckles of a hand. So, in a way, if I were to be a cat that was declawed, all I would be left with would just be those stumps, and really none of the thumb left. Maybe just like a little bit of, muscle right there. It's very cruel. It's very inhumane. It's very unnecessary. There's plenty of products out there that you can use in order to deal with the cat scratch problem. And, you have the nail trimmers. Some cats aren't going to go for that. You have nail caps. You have, obviously a litany of, scratching options. You have repellents, deterrents. You also have attractants. Most of that being with catnip. And, obviously if they're scratching places that you don't want them to, there's like, tape that you can put up. There's multiple options, none of which involve maiming your cat to look like Willem Dafoe from The English Patient. So that's definitely something I wanted to make sure to mention. And honestly, the reason why they scratch, once you get to know, it is kind of a neat thing. So the reason why they have to scratch is because their nails get dull through use, much like, dogs do. But their nails are so crucial to their agility and ability to catch their prey. So what Mother Nature did was a really cool thing, which is they grow in diagonal sections. I wish I had an X-Acto knife that does the same basic principle, but there's X-Acto knives that they have where it's basically little blades stacked on top of each other. So once the top one gets dull, you just snap it off, and now you have a freshly sharp one underneath. That's exactly how cat claws work. They grow in sections, and so when they do their scratches, what they're doing is they're actually breaking off the very tip of the old nail. The new one underneath is super sharp, and that's how they keep their claws always sharp throughout their lives. Their claws just keep growing, keep breaking off in that in that angle, and you have sharp claws on demand. You just need to be able to break off the old dull ones, and that's what they're doing that whole time. So it is something that they need to do, and like I said, you can actually use it to your advantage, especially if they're a cat that enjoys catnip, because you can just take those cardboard scratchers, dump a little catnip in there. Now the cat has its favorite place to declaw, and you get to see them act a fool for a bit. Catnip is kind of cool and also a bit sad at the same time. So it's just neat that there's this plant out there that a cat can never overdose or build up a tolerance to. It's just something that they can enjoy, and it was just nice for Mother Nature to put that out there for them. But not every cat is affected the same way for catnip, and that kind of made me, a little heartbroken that there are some cats that never get to know the joy of, huffing up a big old, wisp of catnip. Much like, sorry to dip into dogs real quick, but come on, this is my video, my channel. Much like how I thought that every single dog enjoyed doing a car ride, hanging their head out the end of, hanging their head out the window, breathing in the smells. Not all dogs like the car. In fact, quite a few of them do get car sick. So, it is unfortunate that not every cat enjoys catnip, but the ones that do, feel free to just catnip it up. So, I want to get a little bit into misunderstandings with cats, because this is something that happens between almost any human-animal interaction, until you've learned how they work. But for years, I would always get frustrated. So I would meet a cat and I would start to get along. Now we're buddies. Now the cat shows me its belly, and being a dog lover my entire life, I'm like, oh, of course I will pet your belly for you. I would pet the belly, and 9.99999 times out of 10, that cat will then bite and scratch me for petting its belly, the thing it just asked me to do. I'd be like, what the heck, man? Cats are so weird. So, turns out, that is actually a sign of trust from the cat. So the cat is just like, oh my god, to scratch behind the ear? Dude, that part right before the tail on my butt? Oh my god, this is awesome. And you feed me too? Sweet. They show the belly because they trust, now that you know that much about cats, that is the one part that they don't want to have rubbed. Now, like I said, 0.0001% of the time, numbers mean nothing on my channel, the cat actually does enjoy a belly rub. That's a very rare thing. Most cats do not, and them showing you the belly is a sign of trust, saying, I'm going to show you the belly because I know that that's the one place you wouldn't, oh my god, you're violating my trust. So that's what's happening, all right? It's a complete misunderstanding. They were showing it to you because they trusted you not to do the petting. So if you get scratched, all the cats I cussed out in my lifetime, I apologize. That was all on me. I was in the wrong, and I appreciate the trust, and hopefully I didn't break it forever. And so speaking of, stuff that they do that oftentimes gets misunderstood, I think about 50-50 people know this. When they bring a dead animal to your doorstep, and it can be frustrating. It's like, okay, if I'm not paying attention, that means that I'm usually going to get to start off the day or end the day with stepping in a dead animal because the cat seems to think that I want to have dead birds and mice on my doorstep. As frustrating as that might be sometimes, especially if they like to try to bring in still alive ones. Sorry for the people with those cats. But that is something that is so out of character for a cat. It's actually one of the sweetest things a cat can do for you. Cats are usually solitary hunters. Usually they catch and eat what they, they eat what they catch, and that's about it. This is a cat that now has a family and is actually trying to help provide for the family. It's a very sweet gesture. It kind of goes against their nature, and just know that it's coming from a place of love as you scrape those guts off the bottom of your shoe. I'm sorry that you have to deal with it, but, it's hard to get mad at them when you know that that's where it's coming from. So that led me down that rabbit hole of like, oh, okay, well then how come sometimes they'll like pee and or vomit in people's shoes? What possibly could be the evolutionary instinct behind that one? And no, that's actually just them being jerks. No, you slighted them in some way. And honestly, it could be something as simple as you didn't clean out the litter box, and so they're just like, well, if I can't poop in a clean litter box, guess where I'm going next? Uh huh. Yeah, the things you step in. So I had to end on that one because I mean I knew that you probably thought it was going a different way, but no, there are times when cats can actually just be kind of jerks, and that's kind of the beauty of it. It's like it's more of a roommate than a slave, that's why they're kind of unique. Where it's like some dog owners might not understand, like when a cat uh, suddenly isn't eating, and you get into a panic, and then you're just like, oh my god, no, you got to eat, and so then they start switching up food, and a dog owner might see that and be like, you're being silly, like just pick up the food and say, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And unless the dog like literally has like a parasite or something wrong with them, the dog will eventually eat. I mean, they can't go on a hunger strike for forever. A cat can. A cat will actually lose pounds. So, cats definitely are their own animal. I do love them to death. I just always was a bit more of a dog person. And allergies run in my family and the people that I choose to surround myself with. And cats, ironically, are oftentimes more allergen inducing than a dog. And the main reason for that is because most people are allergic to the saliva. And cats clean themselves, so they're usually completely covered with their, saliva. And they also like to get everywhere. They like to get up on the furniture. They like to get in the laundry basket. And, so oftentimes people are more allergic to cats than even dogs. So, yeah, I just didn't have as much time in my life to be able to hang out with cats as I'd like to. But those are some cool facts that I found interesting. I hope you did too, or at least slightly entertaining, or maybe there was one where like, huh. But yeah, so I do apologize for things being kind of chaotic on my channel. I'm working on it, and I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.